So tonight I wanted to talk about choices and intention. And I personally had a bad day today. At the office I had a bad day. It was very bad. I cried, as a matter of fact. An agent quit on me today who I never in a million years thought would quit on me. And it was, I never cried before when an agent came to me and said they were leaving to go to another company. But it especially hurt me because this person I never ever thought would leave. And it was purely a business decision on their part, but I thought that there was a relationship there that extended beyond business, and I thought that there was a loyalty there that if somebody came along and said, hey, you know, I'll give you a few grand more to come to my company, I thought they wouldn't listen. So it was a hard day today. But how do you deal with that? This is a quote from, do you remember the old Glen Rock State Bank? The former president of Glen Rock State Bank, who then was the president of, what was the bank that bought them out?
People's, wasn't it?
Hanover.
Oh, Hanover?
I think Bank of Hanover, I think, bought them out. Does Bank of Hanover exist?
They're gone
They're
now.
gone.
PNC
Yeah,
bought them out.
they bought them out. So anyhow, this was a quote from Bob Karate. He was on a TV show that I had. I had a late night talk show, and he was one of my guests. And he said this quote, and I liked it. A good day is when I get my own way a lot. It's a simple. It really is, you know, in a nutshell. When you think about it, that was very profound, and that was back in 1999 when he said that, and it always stuck with me because it's so true. And, you know, some things are more earth-shattering and catastrophic than others, but really it boils down to a good day is when you get your own way a lot. Right? And I had not a good day today at the office because I didn't get my own way, and there was nothing I could do about it. So I wanted to read a little excerpt from, this is from Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui by Karen Kingston, but she's actually quoting Stuart Wilde. Stuart Wilde is a big New Age guru. He was New Age before New Age was cool. So Stuart Wilde said, everything you have is in the care of the God force. Now notice the New Age framing of this. If you come home and the stereo is missing, you can say, ah, they've come for the stereo, rather than getting uptight about it. It's just gone back to the God force. Someone else has it now. That leaves space for another stereo to come into your life. Or it leaves space for perhaps no stereo at all. Now you'll have the silence to meditate and think about who you are and what you want in this life. So it's a very refreshing perspective to be able to say that. You come home and your stereo has been stolen, you just say, ah, they've come for the stereo, and you'd be at peace with that. Now that doesn't mean that you don't call the cops and file a police report and whatever, and you know, perhaps they would get caught and they would learn a lesson and be a better person from it, right? I mean, that's the idealistic point of view. But just to have that, you know, and I had to sit back today and apply this to my life, and I said, ah, they've come for that agent. I have to let him go. And it was hurtful. So, Jesus, how did Jesus frame this thought? Like when people do things to you, you know, he taught to turn the other cheek and to forgive your brother 70 times 7 times, right? So, it's hard though. The Dalai Lama said this after 9/11. There will always be mischievous people in the world. I mean, that's at peace with something really, really horrible. Not that it justifies it. And there is there's certainly a place for a righteous anger. There's a time for a righteous anger. But you do what you can about it, and then you move on. And at some point, when you realize that God is in charge, you say, well, there will be mischievous people until the return of Christ, and he, you know, sets up his kingdom and all of that. And so, you know, that's the framework to, you know, to reframe those thoughts and to become at peace with the actions of other people. And happiness is a choice, and there is power in happiness. There's so much power, and when you don't give yourself that, you really rob yourself. You know, the thief that took your stereo, he's not caring whether you're upset or not. He's on his way doing, you know, selling it for drug money or whatever they do. But it's not gonna hurt, it's not gonna help you to stay angry at him. So there is power in happiness, and when, you know, it says don't dwell on negativity, and when a negative thought occurs, you know, then this is after the initial righteous anger. When a negative thought occurs, catch it, observe it, and then let it go. And here's where a lot of folks get caught up in identifying with their emotions, and they think that their emotions are themselves. And, you know, so we have to, when we stop and realize it, your emotions are this thing that you do have control over, and it's not really you. So you can be angry, and that can be an adjective, or you can be sad, and that can be an adjective of how it describes you, but it doesn't mean that you are an angry person. You are a sad person or a depressed person. We tend to, just like it's politically incorrect to say that person is a cripple. No, you say that's a person with a disability. And in that same regard, we have to not do that to ourselves. You don't say, well, I'm just an angry person, that's just how I am. No, that's an emotion, and that's not you. There's more to you than that. So it's you know, separating ourselves from our emotions so that we can look at things objectively. And then this next point is very difficult, and it's something that we work at. Be forgiving instantly. Everyone is in a different area of their journey towards enlightenment, and some, perhaps most, will not get very far in this lifetime. And that's okay. That's for them to sort out. So there's some freedom in knowing that there's some people that they just aren't going to get very far. You know, whether you want to call it sanctified or Christ-like or, you know, godly or however, you know, enlightened, whatever terms you use, some people just aren't interested in bettering themselves. They aren't interested in becoming a better person. They just don't care. So when you realize that you can feel sorry for them instead of being angry and wanting to shake them to death. So that gives you permission to forgive them without justifying what they've done, because they shouldn't be justified for what they've done. They've done something wrong, you know, if they stole your stereo or whatever. So the forgiveness, sometimes we get that mixed up with thinking that when we forgive them, it's saying it's okay that you did that to me, and it's not. It's totally separate. And then rest knowing that it's easier to be passive towards those who offend rather than defensive. We shouldn't have an ego that needs defending. And this is where, you know, Jesus said, turn the other cheek, and that's passive. It's, you know, when someone does something to you. And that's where the peace churches excel. The Amish, the Mennonites, and the Brethrens, they teach, you know, they're pacifists. And they really understand that turn the other cheek concept. Even when the guy went in and shot the children in the school. And how did the Amish community react to that? They were compassionate, and they were compassionate to the man's family, and they had no hatred, and they felt sorry that it happened, and of course they were mourning their children, and of course I'm sure that there was righteous anger there in the hearts of the parents, but they understood this quality, and they were able to deal with it effectively that way. So, but we put forth a genuine effort to be genuinely happy. And we have to consciously intend this. In cold weather, you can actually see the shape of your breath. It disperses so quickly that after a moment, you have nothing that you have breathed out could be traced back to you. And we have the eagle there. You can see the steam coming out of his breath. And this is true of thoughts as well as your breath. Most of them diffuse even while you're thinking of them and become more so after they leave us. But we can also exhale in a more deliberate way. And to follow that thought, when you can blow on a match and extinguish it, but when you build a fire, you can blow to encourage it. You can blow on your glasses to moisten, and you can blow on your nail polish to dry. So depending on your intention, the air that you exhale can either abet a fire or extinguish it. It can either add moisture or subtract moisture. It's all in your intention. So if you understand that thoughts are like air, then you can achieve all sorts of useful effects by exhaling them on purpose. Form a clear intention and then blow that thought in the right direction, so to speak. And the trick is when you feel an emotion, you can catch that emotion, you can look at it and say, that's not me, that's an emotion that I'm having. Now, how am I going to exhale that in a way that doesn't hurt myself? Even if you're not caring about the thief that took your stereo. Even if you just want to look out for yourself in the situation. And that's, I mean, if you don't know the guy and he's gone, it's not going to help anyway. But, you have to also take care of yourself in this whole situation. And I think that, Jesus knew that too, that it was going to help us when he said, forgive your brother 70 times 7, or turn the other cheek. It wasn't just for the brother's benefit, it was for our benefit as well, because this is what's good for us too. So I choose to be happy and to accept the consequences of other people's decisions that I can't change. And I choose to forgive, not just for their sake, but for my own sanity and for my own journey in becoming more Christ-like. And that is it. That's all I have. Now part